Whether you think you can or whether you think you can't, you're right.
So what examples could I give you to try and illustrate some of the little techniques and principles that I use in my workshops? Well, firstly, I think they've got to be a bit of fun. Got to be light-hearted, and importantly, people mustn't feel exposed and feel uncomfortable, because that doesn't really help anyone, creates barriers to learning, and we don't move forward. So, for example, I would use, when I'm talking about how people filter information, for example, I would put up a slide which will have a sentence on, a paragraph on, and I'll ask people to count a particular number of a certain type of letter. Now, I know how many of those are, but I'll give them 10 seconds to count. Well, let's say there's 10 T's, for example. What happens in any group is that almost no one gets all 10. So what we then do to get into discussion as to why that is the case, well, whether it's a capital T or a lowercase t, straight away starts to influence whether people see the T or didn't see the T. So if they're all in capitals, people would statistically pick up more. But because you then put it in a lowercase, all of a sudden it starts to change how people read it. Now, they know there's 10 if I give them enough time, but people use filters. And it's quite a fun way of trying to illustrate how we filter information and we see things. And of course, in any one group, 5 people in there, trust me, you'll have 3 or 4 different answers, probably even 5 different answers. So we're all looking at the same stuff, but we don't see it quite the same. In fact, in a Covey book, but certainly back in my days, I saw in an old acetate. So for some of you that can remember acetates as presentation, I remember seeing the picture of the woman, which in actual fact, there's 2 women, a beautiful young woman and an old woman. And it's quite interesting. You show people that, they get a chance to look at it, and I say, just tell me what you can see. It's quite interesting. Rarely do people see the beautiful woman and the old woman. They tend to either see the old woman and they can't see the younger woman, or they see the younger woman but they can't see the older woman. So then what I'll do, if someone can see the older, I'll say, well, okay, if you can't see the younger, just show them where it is. So I get people to show the other person. And as soon as they start to see the younger person, it's there, they just can't see it. And that gives us clues as to how people take in information and how subsequently filter it, which I come back to one of my central premises, which anyone that says they communicate effectively 100% of all the time is kidding themselves. What I do is I provide practical tools and techniques which help people just be more aware of their communication, and importantly, try and increase the likelihood that that communication is effective.